It's still crazy to me that like after just a year where China unleashed a pandemic on the world that killed millions of people, they've cracked down on Hong Kong, they've committed a genocide, and the world responds by sending all of their athletes there to compete in the Olympics.
That's why people are gloating at all of these athletes who are getting injured and screwing up. There's that one Chinese American woman who what's the word? She abandoned.
Are you talking about Eileen Gu, the skier?
No. She just like slipped on her skis or whatever.
Oh, you're talking about an injury. Okay.
No, I'm talking about that woman who fell ice skating, and she had renounced her American citizenship to skate for China instead of America.
Wait, what? I didn't see that.
Yeah,
that happened?
Yeah. A Chinese American born woman renounced U.S. citizenship to I think I have it. Maybe
Zhu Yi.
Because when you said that, I was thinking of
there we go. Yeah, Zhu Yi falls again, breaks down in tears at the Olympics. People are making fun of her because she gave up American citizenship, and now she's fallen twice, and people in China are mocking her and insulting her and laughing at her.
Yeah,
sad.
I mean, I was thinking of the skier, or the skier who was born in America and grew up in San Francisco. Her mom was from China, and she competed for the U.S. until 2 years ago, and she switched to China and is now competing for China in the Olympics.
Is she the one who shattered her leg?
No, I don't think so. Her name's Eileen Gu.
You sure?
I believe so.
I saw something about a shattered leg.
I haven't watched like the Olympics at all for obvious reasons. So
No. Was she? I don't know. There was two. I think she was the one who lost one of her skis, but then just like slid it out and was totally fine. But there's another skier who was doing slalom, and she like slipped out, and then her leg spiraled, and she like fractured her tibia or whatever. What's the bone down there? Is it the tibia?
The tibia is the toe bones. The fibula is the finger. I know T and F. That's how I remember.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
No. What's? Are you
femur is the.
Lydia looks like she thinks he's
Lydia's the doctor.
So the femur is like that biggest bone in your leg.
He said fibia.
The fibia, I believe that's in the leg. Yeah.
Oh, I thought that's. Am I wrong about that?
But it's not toes and fingers.
I'm so sorry if I'm wrong about that. I thought tibia and fibia.
Ian, you rolled a 1.
My dad told me that 30 years ago. I'm looking it up, you guys.
Femur breaks also.
The bone between your knee and your foot. That one.
That's the femur.
No, the femur is your thigh.
Oh, between your knee and your foot.
It's your biggest bone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fibula.
Fibula?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that one.
I thought it was fibula.
Tibia. I was way off. But she like.
Arm.
Is the arm? She like spiraled it. It was brutal, man.
What are the toe and finger?
Yeah, but that is a really good point. That
it's the fibula. It's different than the fibia. I guess those are different.
People, all of these athletes who are agreeing to this, I'm sitting back with my feet up while they're all complaining about the conditions they have to go through, because apparently like communist China is unpleasant. Who would have known?
Who would have guessed?
And so all these athletes are like, it's so miserable here, and I'm like, don't go, dude. I'm sorry. People are like, but they've worked so hard their whole lives for the Olympics, and it's like, so what? There was that woman who was a chess grandmaster who refused to go to Iran because she wasn't going to wear a hijab, and I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah, good for her.
She was like, screw that, I ain't doing it, and I'm like, yes.
Start a YouTube channel, play chess online.
But these people, it shows you what they care more about. It shows you what they care more about. These people who are willing to go to China to compete, every single one of them, they care more about a piece of gold on their neck than they do about concentration camps, about potential war and conflict, about what's going on in Hong Kong. I think it's gross.
Like actors with the Emmys and the Oscars, do you want to get that medal? Do anything, say anything, bend down and stay quiet so you get that medal.
Yeah, I mean, I was an athlete growing up, so like I understand if you're someone who's playing a sport your whole life, you dream of going to the Olympics, this is your chance. Like I get it. It's hard to give that up just to make a political statement. Like I'm thinking like it's like put yourself in their shoes. Like if you're someone who's been training your entire life in this sport, the Olympics is your dream. It's hard. Like it's hard to give that up. I don't. So that's why I don't really blame anyone for doing this. I blame America for not standing up and saying, no, we're not sending our people to China.
Why is it incumbent upon the government to stop athletes as individuals?
Well, no, not the government. I'm not necessarily the government. I'm talking about the governing body of USA athletics.
Right. If the USA came out and boycotted the Olympics, they'd be forcing all of the athletes. Yeah, but the athletes could just choose not to go.
Yeah, that's true. But like I said, like it's hard. Like it's really tough. Well, like if you're an athlete like that, like I understand that's a tough decision to make. Just as someone who played sports my whole life.
Sure, and I mean I agree that it's a tough decision, but also just because it's the difficult decision doesn't mean it isn't the right one. And oftentimes it is.
I'm really confused. I don't think it's a difficult decision at all. Like Quite
Well,
the
what
opposite,
he's saying,
actually.
no, I don't think it's a difficult decision morally. I think it's very straightforward. I think you don't go. I think what he's saying is that they have to make a large personal sacrifice. But what
Yeah.
I'm saying is even if you have to make a large personal sacrifice to do the right thing, you should still do it. And I do blame them for not.
Yeah, it's like how many people murdered in genocide is too much for you as an Olympic athlete. You know what I mean?
One.
Exactly.
Because clearly, what's happening to the Uyghur Muslims, what's happened to Hong Kong, what they're threatening over Taiwan, is not enough for any of these people to be like, yeah, maybe I don't go into Beijing on this one. And would it be funny if even a small fraction of all of the Olympic athletes were like, hey, we're not gonna compete as individuals. I'm not gonna go to China, and then China would have to be like, maybe we should stop doing this to the Uyghur Muslims because we're losing out on the Olympics.
Jesse Owens, I'm thinking of 1936 Berlin Olympics, Nazi Germany. He went and performed Black Guy, and it was like a big deal in Nazi Germany.
And he won 4 gold medals.
Yeah, and he made a global statement, and that was a big deal. So there's a chance for people to go to China and be like, yo, down with communism. But Nancy Pelosi's like, please don't do that because they're crazy over there.
I don't like the whole go and protest at the event thing. You know, I said it before. I'm just like, maybe sporting should just be sporting. And because they're banning, like they announced they banned Black Lives Matter at these events. And I'm like, yeah, well, you know, maybe if people want to just go and compete and it doesn't have to be political all the time, every single time. However, I think it's also fair to then be like, you don't got to protest there, but you also don't have to go there.
You know, the Olympics have always been very neutral, even way back to Athens and the original Olympics. It was a time for all these different Athenian or all these different Greek nations to come together. Even if they were at war with each other, they agreed that they would let the athletes pass through their territory, even of countries they were at war with, to go to the Olympics. Because it was so fun. It was just like, that's the human, you know, that we play. You know.
What do you guys think of the World Cup? So we have the World Cup coming up too in November, and it's in Qatar. And apparently, and they're building, and so
how many corpses are in the stadium in that building?
So they had to move it. So usually it's in the summer, but they moved it to November because of how hot it gets there in the summer. And apparently, like there are reports that they're using like slave labor to build.
Oh
the
yeah,
stadiums.
of course, for a long time.
Yeah.
Their reports. I could be wrong about this, so fact check me. It's been a long time since I read about this, but like corpses in the rubble as they're building, it's just like, oh, somebody died. Well, bury over them.
It's crazy. I mean, it just shows how like corrupt, you know, the international governing bodies of the Olympics and of FIFA are. That they give like these countries somehow got the chance to host.
You got to understand how people are. How people are is that they've spent their whole life working towards a goal. There is nothing that will stand in their way. For these 18, 19-year-old Olympic athletes who are skiing or snowboarding, they're like, yo, look, I know that China has these Uyghur Muslims, these women being raped by Han Chinese men and force impregnated. I know they're doing forced abortions and sterilization, but I want that gold medal, dude. Come on. Well, I don't care how many people they kill in those camps, right? Is that what they're saying? I think these people are disgusting.
I think it's a very sad reality, and it's been difficult to see that in many cases people only care about morality insofar as their reputation requires it. And so we're at a place where I imagine most people would spend more time criticizing atrocities of the past, like Nazi Germany or transatlantic slavery, than they would criticizing actual atrocities in the world that people won't pat them on the back so much for addressing.
Yeah, there's no sacrifice complaining about the past.
Exactly. And so, I mean, again, is there a statistical analysis done on this? No, but based on the conversations I've had, particularly with left-leaning people, I think there is currently a lot more criticism going on about Nazi Germany, which ended in the 1900s, right, late 40s, than there is criticism of communist China, which is actually engaged in genocide right now.
Did you guys see this story about Savannah Guthrie? No. China using Uyghur athlete in Olympic ceremony, and in-your-face response to the West. This moment is quite provocative. It's a statement from the Chinese President Xi Jinping. Dude, we are heading towards a future where there is Chinese communist authoritarianism. You mentioned there was already one athlete who defected. I guess there's apparently more than one who's defected from the United States to go perform for China. LeBron James may as well go do it. He's defended China. You've got Mark Cuban, and apparently Elon Musk is using social media. What is it, Weibo or whatever?
Oh, okay.
Weibo? Yeah. I don't know. I can't remember who we had on the show. They were talking about how Elon Musk will say all these great freedom things on Twitter, but then he's also on Chinese social media praising China.
Yeah, we talked about. Oh, where is it?
Did you see this video got taken down by Twitter too? The original account that
Oh yeah, look at that.
tweeted it got taken down.
It's been disabled in response to a report by the copyright owner.
And so the copyright owner, is that NBC in this case?
Apparently,
Yeah. Like getting a video of one of their reporters.
The stories that
There you
have
go.
come out of China over what's happening to the Uyghur Muslims, I hope you guys realize it's on par with like the some of the worst atrocities we've ever heard of in the history of mankind, like forced abortions, like taking women and holding them down, and forced abortions, forced sterilization, bringing men in to rape these women. These stories, some of the images and the videos that have come out are some of the most nightmarish and grotesque things we've ever seen. And Disney is producing films in these regions, and apparently none of it matters. None of it matters to any one of these big corporations. None of it matters to these athletes. That's right. Money. Got to get
Like-
paid.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big difference between atrocities between China and authoritarian countries in the past that have committed atrocities is that China, like, we've never seen the amount of financial interest that China has with the West. Like, it's incomparable to like the Soviet Union or any of these other countries. Like the influence China has over the biggest corporations in the world, the biggest corporations in America, who are just drunk on their Chinese dollars. Like that's the difference. That's why it's all about money.
Earlier you mentioned the way you were saying it was that you said the Chinese unleashed the virus on the world. I want to create some nuance because I think it's more that there was a technocratic group of scientists that did it.
Well, at least
and
they
Chinese,
are, I guess
under the
covered up would may have been a better.
But the poor people, the
Communist
people
Party.
of China are like suffering. I mean, I don't know. I'm not there, and I'm not a Chinese, but it looks like that they're underneath this substrat, or they're underneath this substrat of like mechanical authoritarianism or something.
I mean, I would somewhat agree with that. But what do you think they say about us?
I don't know.
Probably similar things. They criticize our censorship on social media. They criticize our police. It was really interesting. There's this meme of doctors walking down a hall, and all these superheroes are bowing to them. And I thought it was really interesting because bowing isn't really an American thing. It's more of an Asian thing. So I'm wondering, where did this meme come from? And I'm not insinuating anything by it in terms of who made it. I'm just wondering, why wouldn't it be clapping for like superheroes clapping?
I wonder if we evolved our bows to nods.
Well, what I mean is
Much more subtle now.
that it has long been it's widely believed that China, they have something called the 50 Cent Armies. They propagandize on the internet. They get paid to do it. They're widely censored, but I think it's a fair assumption that part of the Cold War with China is that they're flooding our social media with divisive and divisive memes to create conflict and so division in this country. Now, the advantage they have is that they've greatly censored the internet, preventing the U.S. from doing similarly. We're susceptible to it. So I'd imagine over in China, they're saying things like the American people think they're free, they're not. There's that hilarious propaganda video of North Korea where they're like homeless people, they starve, they have no health care and things like that, which are all technically the truth. Of course, it's way better here than it is in North Korea, but they highlight the worst of the worst and claim the worst possible things are happening. And I'd be willing to bet that for a lot of people in China, they don't know anything about Uyghur Muslims. They have no idea it's happening. So their media is all saying we're bad, our media is saying they're bad, and here we are gearing up for some kind of conflict over Taiwan.
Well, for a lot of like Chinese college students who come to America, like my sister knew a few at her college. They didn't know what Tiananmen Square was before they moved here. They didn't know, they didn't know about any of they didn't know what the Great Leap Forward was, how many people it killed before they came here. It's crazy.
Year zero, man. Pol Pot.
Tiananmen Square is nuts. That was
Yeah.
what, 1993 when this happened?
Early 90s,
It was
yeah.
a big
Early 90s.
protest of college students and like intelligentsia came out to protest communism, and it was like, hey, we're here now. This is it. And the communist government rolled out tanks and mowed down crowds of people.
The Tank Man
and
pictures,
then
like the
tries
one.
to censor it. And like on that day, they'll ban like that word from different social sites and stuff. Like it's hard to find it on that day because you can see the CCP's trying to stop people from knowing that it happened.
Yeah.
Someone super chatted something about BLM and China. We'll read it when we get to super chats, but I just think it's going to be funny when invariably we get some celebrity or some athlete at the Olympics who like raises the red salute and then yells something for Black Lives Matter in a country that's forced sterilizing minorities.
It was 1989 Tiananmen Square protests and massacre. but it's not the first thing that comes up when you search for it, even on DuckDuckGo.
It's brutal, man.
I mean, I guess it's today, Tiananmen Square hotels, you know.
But I think people might view this as pessimistic. I don't think it's so pessimistic, but I think China's going to win.
How do you mean win?
They're gonna become the dominant global superpower. All the countries will become deferential to China instead of the U.S. China will expand military bases. They already are all over the planet. And then the United States will be kind of much more like Russia.
Then
so our cost of living will go up dramatically. You know, we'll probably bring more labor and products will be manufactured in the U.S. But life will generally get harder for most Americans. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think American gluttony is resulting in this like lost generation. The millennial generation are the softest of soft we've seen in a long time, and that's probably why we're, the fourth turning Strauss-Howe generational theory. It's probably why things are getting bad in the first place. These are people who don't work, don't want to work, complain about the little work they have to do, and demand the government pay them free. Just give them money for no reason. The money comes out of the pockets of those who actually do work. Sorry, but if you live in New York and you work for BuzzFeed, you're not actually producing anything of value to society. And for that matter, I'll be completely real and say, I know a lot of people like this show, but damn, sometimes I'm surprised that we sit around a table talking about our thoughts and feelings and we make more money than a plumber does. Plumber actually makes sure your poop goes away. That's, in many ways, the collective work of trades groups, electricians, machinists, as people noted before, substantially more value than even what we do. To be fair to us, I understand that defending liberty, freedom, and supporting the working class who are actually making everything possible is still a good thing, and it's important to have a culture that maintains these values and ideas. But man, we sure got a whole lot of millennials who do literally nothing and complain about everything.
It's also Gen X. A lot of people. It's the gut biome. I think has destroyed motivation. People consume too much. Yeah, saying gluttony. Too much of that gunk in your gut, and you get up and it's like, I'm tired. I don't know. I'm bored. You don't understand that boredom is not supposed to happen. Everything is so stimulating. Clear your gut and you'll see it.
Well, no, I mean, I think it's more of a willpower thing. People are so well fed that they don't really have to hunger, and they don't really chase things or seek out goals the way people of the past did. And Ian, I sort of hear what you're saying. I wouldn't put it exactly that way. I wouldn't say that boredom isn't supposed to happen. I would say that it's something we're supposed to allow to happen so that we can find interesting things to focus on rather than just looking at our smartphone or seeing what's on television or browsing the internet.
Boredom shouldn't exist.
Yeah, when you're calm it's the most relaxing thing. If thoughts are an annoyance at that point.
Well, no, I mean, I think that we should allow for moments of boredom to come, because that's when creativity really starts to flourish. You start coming up with ideas on your own or figuring out things to do.
We should
if
define
every
boredom.
time that boredom starts to kick in, you look at your phone and start scrolling, you're never going to be productive.
I don't think you're talking about boredom. I think you're talking about listlessness or laziness
How do you
or
define
relaxation.
boredom?
Yeah, I would define boredom as when, I think almost by definition, it's when you aren't sure what to focus on or nothing is grabbing your attention. I would say boredom is when nothing is grabbing your attention. I think that's a fair way of defining it.
I'm never bored.
I have
Never.
not been lately.
I think sometimes it's good to allow yourself to be in a situation where you're not sure what to focus on, because that means you're not looking at all of the traditional things that are grasping for your attention at all times, and you're trying to find something deeper.
You could be in a position where you're not focusing on anything but not be bored. Is a point I would like to make. It's like a stable
boredom in my opinion is a result of it's luxury based stagnation. It's that we live in such luxury that people can sit there and be like, I have literally nothing to do. Well, if you have a mission, if you have drive and you have purpose, you literally will never experience that. But for so many people, they have no purpose. Boredom arises. What do I do now? I got off work. I have money for my bills. My rent is paid. What do I do?
Consume.
Boredom.
Yeah. Put something in my stomach and then not have to create something because I'm busy digesting.
Yeah. I have downtime. Downtime is like, man, I'm exhausted. So here's what I did today. I woke up immediately, got to work, finished work around 2, immediately skated for 2 hours, ate food, and sat for about an hour or so to try and just like rest. Not boredom, exhaustion. Then I get cleaned up to come on the show, and here we are on the show once again. We're going to finish a show, and then I'm going to go to bed. Then I'm going to wake up and do it all over again. On the weekends, it's relaxation, not boredom. It's like, woo, I need to chill. Mm-hmm. Wow, man, I am wiped out.
Yeah, I guess maybe we're defining the term differently, or maybe we disagree, but I think a little bit of boredom every now and again is healthy.
I bet we're slightly defining it differently.
Yeah, that could be possible.
Boredom to me is usually when someone, like you said, I don't know what to do, and you're sitting there confused.
You're
like,
not
what
sure what
do I
to
do?
focus on. Yeah, or the things that you should be doing are not immediately obvious to you. And I think so often when people get that first dose of boredom, their instinct is to run to some form of entertainment. I want to look at my phone. I want to look at my computer. I want to see what's on television, instead of sitting there and going, why don't I imagine a story? Why don't I start picking at a guitar? Why don't I learn an instrument or a hobby or something along
But
those lines?
You see, that's for someone like me. I've had, I've been bored before to a certain degree, but for the most part, I probably experienced substantially less boredom. And I think that's something you get when you're a kid. I think it's something, if you grow up with no purpose and no meaning, you're probably going to find yourself bored very, very often, unsure of what to do with yourself. For me, it was too much to do all the time. I played music. I skateboarded. I was constantly reading the news. I was constantly learning. I used to do Flash animations. I used to make websites. I was always just trying to do something, understand something, or solve something.
What was your diet like? Did you guys eat a lot of sugar growing up?
I ate a lot of candy.
But
Yeah.
was it allowed? Do you have soda in the house?
Did we? Yeah, we had Fresca.
Oh.
And then we had Royal Crown Cola.
That was RC, way better than Pepsi.
Of course,
Coke.
it's the best.
That's
You know what I mean? Royal Clown.
We were kind
Royal
of
Clown.
we had sugar
Royal
kind of
Crown.
banned.
Royal Clown World, yeah.
It was kind of banned from our
Clown.
house. My mom wouldn't let us have soda in the house. So at the time, I hated it because I always wanted sugar. And I go to the drug mart and get sugar and like lemon heads and Spree and all this. But not having it in my diet helped me in later life.
I used to make video games on back in the day. I would do some Flash programming. I would do some. There was a thing called Click and Play that used to exist, then Games Factory, and then Multimedia Fusion. I used those. But then, so when I wasn't doing that, I was playing Magic the Gathering. I was playing Pokemon. I was skateboarding. So I was literally always doing something. Just like there was never a period of where I wasn't doing anything. We weren't well off by any means. My skateboard was always like, you would get worn down, and then I'd be riding a crusty board for a while. And then I didn't have the best cards ever, so it became really hard to be competitive in any of these things like Magic or whatever. But I was always doing something. There was always somewhere to be. And then if I wasn't doing any of those things, there was like just people to hang out with, to talk about, and so we were always off on adventures. I gotta say, I think skateboarding is one of the most powerful things you can do for a kid. Because when I first started skating, first of all, it gives you drive and direction. You've got something to accomplish. It's tangible. It's in front of you. You know how to do it. You've seen people do it. Now you need to accomplish it. You get it. What's the next step? Then what happens is there's fears to overcome. Dropping it on a half pipe is scary, but you have to do it, and you're gonna fall the first time. Not everybody, but 95% chance you're gonna fall and get hurt, and you have to if you want to overcome that hurdle. Then the other thing that skateboarding does is we started exploring. Me and all my friends would travel around, going to different neighborhoods, trying to find new places to skate, meeting new people, expanding our reach throughout the city. Then eventually I went to other cities and suburbs and other states, and then traveled around the country.
Outside
All
adventure.
together.
That's a big part of it, being in nature.
Yeah.
I think Andrew Huberman he's a neuroscientist, was saying every human should at least for 15 minutes a day gaze into the horizon. It does something to the brain. He explains it way better than I do, but I suggest checking out Andrew Huberman. He's a genius. He has a great podcast on YouTube. Outdoor activity and also hanging from branches apparently is very good for your balance, according to Ben Stewart.
I know that it's such a boomer thing to say, but the only reason it's a boomer thing to say is because every generation before them said it, and it's like one of the wise things they actually retained, but kids just don't spend enough time outside anymore.
Yeah.
And it's sad because what you're talking about, going out and exploring with your friends, I did similar things, and we were fortunate because our parents didn't really want us to have game systems. We didn't get them till we were a bit older. We didn't have cable in our house, so we pretty much had to go outside and find things to do. I knew so many kids in my generation, and especially in the generation a little bit after me, where the kids kind of didn't really develop a personality because all they were doing was focusing on electronics. And I'm not saying that you can't develop skills or some personality with electronics either. Like you said, you can learn to code, you can learn to build computers. That's all really productive. But it's just sad that this sense of exploration has been lost because so many kids will just find it in their video game system or nowadays in their smartphone.
Well, something that was, I think, really good for me growing up is I was an athlete. I think sports are a really important thing that you can do for a kid. It teaches teamwork. You're working towards a goal of winning with a bunch of people. You meet friends that way. Like, so for me, that was something that I think really helped me. It also teaches you a lot of values of hard work. Working hard to get to the highest level in your sport. And I think the world would be a better place if we had a lot of athletes.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. And one more thing I want to point out here, which is different between the time, and I know we're not all the same age, but the times, respectively, that we were all raised in and how kids are being raised now, is even though we did have all sorts of, distracting electronic gadgets, at least when you were outside, you were outside. Now with these smartphones, they're constantly online, even when they're outdoors. It's a very unhealthy thing. Like, they don't get to take a break from that technological infrastructure the way we could when we were kids. You could just kind of go out into the woods or go into the forest or go to your local pond with your siblings and really be in nature. And that's not possible anymore because they always have everything at their fingertips.
I wonder if the Wi-Fi is agitating people too. That might have something.
The countries in this upcoming civil war, the barriers, the borders, they're digital. Mm-hmm. That's why, Bill Maher was like, we can't have a civil war because the Mason-Dixon line would go through Nana's kitchen. Mm-hmm. So, well, sure, people are now polarizing based on the ideology they hold based on digital boundaries. So there are bubbles on Twitter. There's a left bubble and a right bubble, and you can actually map it out. There's been these really great visualizations showing how they clash and then spread out, and you have like the right, which is mostly the far right's all like destroyed and banned. Mm-hmm. So you have like this big clump of like center right, and then you have this huge splash of far left. Those are the borders of the upcoming or the current cold civil war, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I find that fascinating because there is an old George Bernard Shaw quote. He said, "The class warfare of the future will be fought between competing intellectual classes for the souls of our children."
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Now, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.